Hi everyone, I'm Whit Roy. In this lesson, we'll explore the calculation topics that may appear in EWRB Electrician Regulation exam. In the EWRB Electrician Regulation exam, there are two main types of calculation questions you need to know: maximum demand and voltage drop. These questions are based on the reference material in Appendix C of AS-NZS 3000 and AS-NZS 3008. We'll begin with the first type, maximum demand. Let's get into it. In the EWRB regulation exam, maximum demand questions are normally short. Most are only 1 mark for each question. Because of that, you will only get simple one-step calculations. Appendix C in AS-NZS 3000 contains 11 tables, and each table is one method. When you study maximum demand, you need to understand how each table works and what the notes say under the table. The key formulas you need are very simple. For single phase, I equals P divided by V, and for three-phase, I equals P divided by root 3 times V. Once you know these two formulas, the rest of the calculations become straightforward. Now we look at Table C1. This table is for domestic maximum demand. Please read the examples in Appendix C first, because they show exactly how the method works. The key to Table C1 is the notes underneath. Many exam questions come from these special cases. For example, lighting tracks are 2 points per meter, 230 volt track lighting is 0.5 amps per meter per phase, and multiple socket outlets are counted by the number of sockets. There are also rules for lamp loads and small permanent equipment. If you learn the notes, you won't get caught by any tricky questions. Table C2 is for non-domestic installations, but the study method is the same as Table C1. The examples in the standard may look long, spreading loads across 3 phases, finding the heaviest phase, and so on. But in the exam, they won't give 3-step questions for 1 mark. They usually test each step separately. Make sure you read the load group wording carefully. For example, space heaters belong in Group G, not Group C. Also, notes B and C are common exam traps. Once you understand the layout and the notes, C2 becomes easy. Table C3 is the energy demand method for non-domestic loads. It is a simple method. Choose the VA per square meter from the table, multiply by the floor area, and then convert the result to current using the normal current formula. Make sure you study the example in C2, 4.4, because it shows the full process. Once you understand that example, this method becomes very easy. Practice a few mock questions and you will be confident for the exam. Table C4 looks simple because it is just a lookup table. You find the assessed maximum demand based on the power rating of the cooking appliance. Although it is simple, you must prepare it before the exam. If you meet it for the first time in the exam, it can cause stress. Spend 5 minutes before the exam to understand how the table works. Tables C5 and C6 help you match cable size with protective device rating. The steps are easy. Identify the installation condition, select the cable size, and check the largest MCB allowed. If the given MCB is larger than the table value, it does not comply. You might also be asked the opposite, given an MCB rating, what cable size is acceptable. These are always quick one-step questions. Table C7 uses the simplified voltage drop method from AS-NZS 3008. The most important thing is to understand the two examples in clause C4 too. One example shows how to find the minimum cable size, and the other shows how to work out the voltage drop percentage. This method can feel tricky at first, but once you understand these examples, the whole process becomes very easy. You can also watch my teaching videos which explain the method step by step. In the exam, they only test 1 or 2 simple steps from this method. Table C8 is about how many points you can place on a final subcircuit. The purpose is to avoid overloading. This is a simple table, just match the circuit rating and cable size to the allowed number of points. Exam questions are always short, such as whether a certain number of outlets is acceptable. Now we combine tables C9, C10 and C11, which all deal with how many cables can be installed in a conduit. C9 is for single core sheathed cables, C10 is for 2 core plus earth TPS, and C11 is for 4 core plus earth cables. These tables are based on the conduit and cable cross-section areas with space factors applied. The exam questions are very simple. They will ask how many cables can fit in a certain conduit size or what conduit size is needed for a certain number of cables. All you need to do is look up the value in the correct table. If you understand how to read these tables, you will be confident in the exam. Now we start the voltage drop calculation section. In the EWRB online exam, each voltage drop question is 1 to 3 marks only. That means the exam will not test the whole long voltage drop process. Instead, they pick 1 or 2 small steps from the full method and turn those steps into short questions. However, for your study, you must still learn the full method from start to finish because the small questions all come from different steps in that larger process. There are 2 types of formulas you need to know: the current formulas for single phase and 3-phase, and the voltage drop formulas for single phase and 3-phase. You also need to be able to calculate percentages such as future load increase or the allowed voltage drop limit based on 5% or 7% of the supply voltage. All voltage drop calculations follow AS/NZS 3008. You must know how to use the key tables: Table 10, Table 13, Table 27, 1, Table 27, 2, Table 42, and Table 45. These tables give cable ratings, derating factors, and the VC values needed for the voltage drop formulas. In this lesson, I'm only giving you the overview of what to prepare. For full worked examples, please watch my separate voltage drop calculation videos which take you through the entire process step by step. Hi everyone, we have now completed the full lesson for the EWRB regulation calculations. We covered maximum demand C1, C11 and voltage drop, and you should now understand the key tables, formulas and simple one-step exam methods. Remember to read the table notes carefully because many questions come from those special cases. Please keep practicing the mock exam questions and the short calculation exercises. Also, watch my maximum demand and voltage drop video series for full step-by-step explanations. Good preparation means no surprises in the exam. If you are ready and confident, you will pass with ease. All the best for your EWRB exam.